There are moments in this work that remind you that this is so much bigger than us. Today, I attuned one of my Reiki Level 2 practitioners, and the energy that came through in the attunement was just out of this world. It really was, it wasn't just the attunement, like the process of the attunement, it really was a remembering. A remembering that this work isn't about doing more, it's about actually allowing more. And one of the things that came through so clearly was that we as women need to rise. We need to lean into that calling. And the way we do that is together, because no woman can do it alone. I created this business to help the collective really step into meaningful work, because intuitive Reiki isn't just a modality, it really is a frequency of pure love. And we stand on the shoulders of other great healers and practitioners that have paved the way for us. What if the one thing that's been holding you back from trusting your intuition isn't a lack of ability, but a case of mistaken identity? Because here's what I've discovered. After more than 2 decades of doing this work, most people aren't struggling to get guidance. They're struggling to recognize it, to tell it apart from the fear, the doubt, the stories that our minds create. And today is going to change that. Welcome back, beautiful soul. I'm your host, Lisa Brandis, and this is Connecting to Spirit. If you've ever had a feeling about something like a pull or a nudge or a quiet knowing, and then you've talked yourself straight out of it, then this episode is for you. If you've ever wondered, is this my intuition speaking or is it just fear, then this episode is also for you. And if you've ever sat down to tune in and come up completely blank because your mind was too full of the very problem you were trying to solve, yes, this episode is absolutely for you. Over the last 2 episodes, we've been building something really important together. In episode 1, we explored how intuition is your most advanced guidance system. It's a primal biological intelligence that arrives before the mind has even had time to catch up. And we talked about how the monkey mind charges in right after and can muddy up the water. Then in episode 2, we looked at how intuition actually shows up in everyday life, usually quietly, not shouting, often with a gentle nudge, a knowing, or a pull towards something. And I left you with a question, which was, are you listening? Well, today I want to take that even further, because listening is one thing, but discernment and knowing what you're actually listening to, well, that's where the real trust begins. Today I'm going to walk you through what I call the 3 voices. The 3 things that can show up when you tune in: true inspired guidance, fear, and your own thinking mind. And I'm going to share real stories from my own life that I think will make each one land in a way that it just clicks and makes sense for you. So first of all, the first voice is fear. I call it the story maker. We'll start there because fear is the sneakiest one. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't say, hi, I'm fear and I'm about to derail you. It literally shows up as a very convincing story, a whole narrative that feels completely logical and real. However, it's built entirely on assumption that maybe hasn't been tested. And remember what we talked about in episode 1, the monkey mind. Fear and the monkey mind, well, they're best friends. Fear creates a story, the monkey mind argues the case, and together they can be extremely persuasive. So I'm going to share with you a moment from my own life that captures this perfectly. So I was on tour with my business coach, and before the audience would arrive, I would walk into the room. She'd ask me to call in my Reiki energy, activate the symbols, and just build the energy in the room. So I thought I was in there alone with my business coach, and I was literally drawing the symbols in thin air, and I was making it big because it was a big conference center. As I was doing it, a marketing coordinator came in. She saw what I was doing and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I immediately felt that flush of embarrassment. My first thought was, oh my God, she's going to think I'm crazy. I kind of stumbled over my answer. Oh, I'm a Reiki master, and just putting some symbols in the room, and kind of tried to exit that conversation quickly. However, afterwards, I was building a story in my head. What does she think about me? She probably thinks I'm out of my mind. What am I doing? Because I was presenting to corporate as well. So why am I doing this? I got overly critical of myself. And then later, once I'd actually gotten to know this woman, we were having dinner, and she actually came around to that conversation and asked me again what I was doing in the room. And she was genuinely curious, open-minded, and she wanted to understand exactly how Reiki worked and how raising the energy in the room, the kind of effect it had. So we ended up having the most amazing conversation. And I just thought all of that overthinking, none of it was true. So fear had taken one moment, a woman asking a question, and built an entire case against me. And here's the thing, that story I told myself, it stopped me from standing confidently in my gifts, even just for a little moment. And that's exactly what fear does. It's a great example. It creates stories, and those stories, if we let them, stop us from living our full potential. So here's your discernment key for fear. It grips, it contracts, it narrows, and when you pause and question the story, like really question it, it usually can't hold up. So the second voice is true inspired guidance. Now, let me share what true inspired guidance feels like, because it has a very different quality to it. So in episode 2, I talked about how intuition is quiet and it doesn't shout, it doesn't argue. It simply appears like a feeling or a knowing or a gentle nudge. And that's true, but today I want to add something. True guidance has a steadiness, a power to it. It, even when there's nervousness present, the guidance itself doesn't waver. There was a time when I was invited by an old coach actually to come and do a live channeling session in a community that she had built. And she was in the process of stepping away from the corporate world and started to awaken her intuition. And she'd gathered a group of beautiful, open-minded souls. Although she was actually clinical in her work and a lot of her clients up to that date had been corporate, she assured me that these were a very open-minded group. Even though they were complete strangers to me, they knew nothing about me, they didn't know anything about channeling, probably had never experienced it. So this is one of my first online demonstrations of channeling, and to say I was nervous is an understatement. So yes, I was nervous, but there was also this steadiness, an inner sense that felt expansive and like this was right. So that's a distinction I want to really get you to feel into. Fear grips, it contracts, it makes everything feel kind of urgent and dangerous. True intuitive guidance has a completely different kind of texture. It's quieter, it's grounded. It often arrives more as a knowing rather than a loud voice. And even when there's fear sitting right beside it, the guidance itself holds you. It doesn't argue, doesn't try to convince you, it simply waits. So when I stepped into that channeling experience, I actually wasn't operating from my thinking mind. I became open and receptive to the guidance, and I brought through my guide, Anya, and she was able to channel a message to the audience, and it came through in exactly the way that the person in the hot seat I was doing the reading for needed to hear. So here's your discernment key for true guidance. It holds steady, it doesn't need to argue, and it's still there when the fear quietens down. So that's what it feels like to trust your intuition, not the absence of fear or nervousness, but the presence of something deeper that allows you to choose to follow anyway. So the third one is your thinking mind. Now, this is the most nuanced and the most practically useful. So here's the thing about your own beautiful mind. It's incredibly capable. And when something's weighing on you, it wants to fix it. It circles with the problem, analyzes, plans, worries, revisits. And the challenge is when your attention is completely absorbed by a problem, you literally cannot clearly receive guidance that would solve it, because the solution and the problem don't live in the same vibration. Your guides, your higher self, spirit, they communicate from a place of unconditional love, flow, expansion. And if your energy is contracted around worry, the channel just gets muddied. You can try to tune in, but the reception just isn't clear. And I experienced this recently. I was starting to worry about an upcoming event, churning it over and over in my mind. And I was trying to tune in for guidance, but nothing would come through. It was like I would just get crickets. My thinking mind was too dominant, too loud. And so I made a choice to put the problem down, and I meditated, and I decided I'm not going to try and figure this problem out. I'm just going to shift my state. And about 30 minutes later, quietly a message came through. Remember, this isn't just on you to create this experience. So we're working in a partnership. All you need to do is focus right now on being here and being now and focusing on today. And I immediately felt that wisdom that shifted me back into gratitude, back into trust, into the present moment, which is exactly what the Reiki principles have always called me back to, just for today. And it was that teaching that I felt from my spirit guide when I needed it, when I was stuck. So when you're stuck in a problem, the most powerful thing you can do is ask spirit for the solution and then let the problem go. Hand it over, shift your state, and go and live your day. The answers will come maybe through a number sequence like 333 or 444, maybe through a song, a conversation, a YouTube video that lands right in your lap, maybe through a quiet whisper in a still moment. Just like the stories in episode 2, these subtle nudges are what the universe sends when we're finally in a state to receive them. So here's your discernment key for your own thinking mind. If you're going around and round in circles and nothing's becoming clear, you're thinking you're not receiving. Shift your state first, and then the guidance will follow. Before we move into our channeled message that I would like to deliver, I want to invite you to do something right now. Think of something that you've been sitting with lately, something you've been turning over in your mind, trying to figure out. It might be a decision or a direction or a question about your path. Now, just for a moment, put it down, soften your shoulders, take one slow, deep breath, and ask yourself, which voice have I been listening to? Fear, my own mind, or the quiet, steady voice of true guidance? And the good news is you don't need to answer that right now. Just let the question sit, because the fact that you're here listening to this or watching this on YouTube, that in itself was your intuition leading you somewhere. So I'm going to bring a message through from my guide, Anya, so you can hear her perspective on this very topic. The mind would like to make the experience of connecting with your spirit team, your guide, your guardians, very complicated. It would like to give you a rule and a set of processes and practices and experiences that are needed to be done in order to access the quality that is already within your pure nature. So when you are in that open-minded state, when you are in the flow and in the present moment, your guides, us, we're here, we're always with you. We're seeing and experiencing life through your eyes, through your vision, through your perception. And there is nothing more exhilarating for us than to be asked and invited in to have this co-creative experience with you on this planet. And for healers and light workers and people that are awakening to the difference that they can make, know that your guides will support you and encourage you every single step of the way. You just need to ask and then allow their frequency, their insights, their guidance, their inspiration to give you the step. Quite often we find when people are awakening to their intuition, they want all the answers and they want them all now, but usually your guidance will give you just a step-by-step approach so as not to overwhelm you. There is a lot to see and feel and experience in this earth-based reality, and we find that every single step Every single moment is a treasure trove of delight. And we sit here with our perspective and we wait for you to feel the resonance of that and then create the physical experience of that which is most important to you. We hope you have enjoyed this transmission. We are Anya. We are a collective of spirit guides that are here to teach, to inspire, and to activate the energy within you as you journey through to your spiritual path. It is a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to share and to explore and to express. We thank you for your time. We thank you for your presence. And most importantly, we thank you for being open to this way of being guided. Namaste. So I hope that you enjoyed that little segment. And connecting and hearing from the wisdom, as Anya so beautifully put it. And until next time, stay tuned. Let us know if you loved this episode, what you liked about it. If you start putting some of the teachings into practice, send me a message. We love to connect, and share it with a friend if there's someone that you know would benefit from this episode. Take care. See you in the next one. Bye. I just wanted to say thanks for listening today. We know there are a lot of podcasts out there, and you took time out of your day to dive into this episode, and I want to say thank you so much. If you'd like to learn how to become a powerful psychic healer and spiritual teacher, head on over to intuitivereiki.online and you can get started by taking my free quiz and discover your unique psychic gifts. Plus, there's heaps of course information, and you'll access a really great bunch of really helpful tools to support you on your path. We really want to see you build a soul-led practice that creates abundance, builds confidence, and the freedom to serve in the way you were born to. Remember, the world needs your powerful and unique teaching. I'll see you in the next episode.